planet has something to prove. If you walk through life and feel like you have nothing to prove, then you're a fucking loser. If you wake up each day and go, I don't owe anybody anything, I don't have to prove anything to anybody, then you are a loser because you are absolutely not incorrect. You must prove yourself to other people. You must prove yourself to your bloodline, as we just discussed. You must prove yourself to God. God hates the lazy. He can't stand them. If he gives you all these genetic dispositions and these natural God-given gifts, if you have 2 arms and 2 legs and you can think, and you're not trying your absolute best, that's the reason you're not lucky. He doesn't like you. He likes the people which show him the beauty of his own creation. He likes to give somebody building blocks and them to build something amazing. It's the best thing about being a man. You have to build who you are, right? You can decide if you want to be a funny comedian or a musician or a kickboxing world champion or fight the Matrix. You can decide whatever you want to be. God loves to see that. Those people, for some reason, seem to be enormously lucky, right? The person who goes, I don't have to prove anything to God. I don't owe all of my ancestors any effort. You know, for 5,000 years, people were dodging saber-toothed tigers and catching the plague and running from Genghis Khan just for my stupid ass to be born. I don't owe them anything. I don't owe them a thing because I want to play video games. These people are fucking losers. You should walk through earth with force inside of you. As I walked into this hotel reception, everybody looked. Not because they know who I am, but because as I move, even if it's behind their head, people feel something and they go, it's an energy that comes from brutal competence. It's almost like an evolutionary thing where a rabbit can just smell a fox. It just knows. That's what happens when a predator walks in a room, even amongst humans. You pay attention next time you're in a restaurant. If a man who's truly dangerous walks in, nearly every other man kind of looks up at the same time. You feel it. You need to or you don't survive. We've evolved with that to live. That's who I am. I couldn't imagine not being that man. I've done that because I've been trying to prove myself to my lineage my entire life. I wake up every day with something to prove. I have hundreds of millions of dollars. I wake up and think, fuck, more. I'm in fantastic shape, 4 times world champion, fighting the Matrix out here by myself, more. I will have to be braver. I must try harder. All I do is prove myself. So when I hear people go, I don't have nothing to prove, then you're a fucking loser. Peasants have never felt like they needed to prove anything. But kings felt like they needed to go and conquer land. Isn't that it's coincidental that the king, who already had it all, felt like he needed to go to some far-flung land and conquer it and take it and prove he's the king. But the peasants, oh, I don't have to prove nothing to nobody. You're a fucking loser then. You're a dummy. I absolutely and utterly completely have everything to prove to everybody all of the time. That's who I am. I will prove anything to anybody. If I sit and say X, I will prove it to anyone. I can be checked at any time. If someone would have come up to me in that lobby and argued with my ideas, I would have proved that my ideas are sound. If they would have attacked me, I would have destroyed them completely and absolutely. That's who I am. So yes, I have a lot to prove, my friend.
The answer is you need to get rich. You need to get a network. I know this is all I talk about, but I believe it is my mission to try and defeat the Matrix. And you defeat the Matrix with truth and love because the Matrix relies on hate and deception. I love you enough to tell you the truth. And the truth is that you're fucked if you're not rich. I don't have any answer for you. People say to me, Andrew, what do I do if I'm not rich? I don't know. I don't know what you will do if you don't have a bunch of money because it's going to become harder and harder. And in the next 30 years, unless you're rich, you are finished. You are done. The only thing I can do is try my best to teach you how to make money. That's all I can do for you. If you're prepared to work hard, I can guarantee you'll make enough money to afford carbon credits. If you're not prepared to work hard, if you're a quitter, then you are going to be a slave and your bloodline are going to be enslaved for the rest of human time. That is the bottom line to it. There's nothing else to say. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you have to decide if you want to escape or not. If you want to escape, ladies and gentlemen, the things I'm telling you now on a public Rumble stream, imagine what I will be saying in my private network. Imagine what I'll be talking about inside the war room
gold
or the real world. You can't just sit and coast any longer. You have to take drastic action. Everybody always says, if you tried your best, that's all that matters. The best is all you can do. If you tried your best, it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter if you lose if you tried your best. Most people have heard that before. But there is a secret to the universe that most don't know. If you actually try your best, you can't lose. Not pretend to try your best, not try your best 90% of the time, not try your best with excuses. If you genuinely try your best all of the time, all day, every day, it's impossible to lose. So when people say, if you tried your best, it's okay to lose, that is a logic fail. Because if you lost, you didn't try your best in the first place. If you actually try your best, it is impossible to fail in this life. God is watching and he rewards those who want it the most. If you want it the most, you can have it. It's a competition. Every dollar you want, the house you want, the car you want, other people want, you have to win. You have to want it the most and genuinely do your best, because most people aren't capable of doing their best anymore. To get up every day, whether they feel like it or not, and perform regardless. That is the secret. You cannot fail if you try your best. So if you don't have the car you want, the woman you want, the relationship you want, the friends you want, the house you want, you haven't been trying your best. Because I guarantee you the second you do, you'll have all of it. Every single one. I read a lot of emails. I got a lot of emails, a lot of messages, and a lot of people like, bro, I'm trying my best. And my answer is simply, no, you're not. I really don't think they're trying their best. Maybe I come across and I seem non-sympathetic, but I'm from a council estate in Luton. I'm now a billionaire. And it's because I actually tried my best. What's funny is this. If you were to take somebody who says, I'm doing my best, I'm really trying, and you were to get an exact schedule of their last week and find all the times they've wasted time, you'd say, look, you've wasted time, wasted time, wasted time, wasted time. You know what's actually amazing? Most of those people are not even self-reflective enough to go, you're right, I'm not trying my best. Do you know what they'd say? Well, I have to rest sometimes. I have to have a social life. They'd be so arrogant because they're arrogant.
I had to do my Facebook.
Yeah. No matter, you'd even show them, here's where you fucked up. Well, I have to. Oh, you're crazy. And then they go back to being a loser. That's the amazing thing about losers. You can drag them to the water, but they won't drink it. It's beautiful.
They always feel like they're doing everything, rather than like a successful person feels like they're not doing enough.
You nailed it. They have no self-accountability. And you're right. A lazy person thinks he's working too hard, and a successful person thinks he isn't working hard enough. And we're doing 20 times the work they are. And we're like, I could have done more, could have done this. I missed that today. Can't miss that again. I should have taken that call. I should have flown there. I should have. We have guilt about it. They don't give a solitary fuck. And even if you pointed it out to them, they'd sit there and go, oh yeah, and they'd make some excuse for it. I'm kind of scared because I say all these things about how the matrix is cracking. We need to build a new system, but it's happening in direct correlation at exact the same time as AI is taking over. And I'm kind of scared that AI is going to enslave us all now. I'm kind of sitting there going, is this new technology going to be used for our benefit or to perma enslave us?
What do you imagine the world to look like in 5-10 years time? As I mentioned earlier on, you got AI and you got the Apple Vision Pro, and eventually they're going to come out with sunglasses like the ones you're wearing now that have every little thing that you need to see in front of you. So what do you imagine the world to look like?
It's a good question. And I'm going to tell people how I came to my answer. I think the best way to predict the future is to study history. I believe in times of old. Let's go back the last 3,000 years. If you were a king, your life was pretty good. Or it was as good as life could be. To be a king, you had power, influence, money. That's what you had. And you were a king and you lived a good version of life. If you weren't a king, you were an average man, a common man. And I think the world is cyclical. When you were a common man 2,000 years ago, you were effectively a slave and life was terrible. And then that was the same all the way up to perhaps 1930s, 1940s. Being a common man was pretty terrible. And perhaps it was the war and the massive loss of life. Perhaps it was something else. I'm not sure. But I kind of feel like there was a golden period between in the 50s to 60s to 70s to 80s, maybe even the 90s, where being a normal, hardworking man, because life is cyclical, went from being a terrible existence to quite a good existence. In the 60s, you could be a normal man who worked in a factory, an unskilled labor job, and with one wage, you could afford a house, you could afford a car, you could afford to raise a family, your children would not be taught garbage in school, your wife would respect you, you'd have a home-cooked meal.
Times are good.
Times are good. And I feel like, because it's cyclical, those good times are over, and we're going back to where it was before. The kings have always been fine, and we always will. But if you're the common man, I think that the good days are over, and I think it's going to get harder and harder. The common man is about to get wrecked. I think inflation is going to make it exceptionally difficult. I think AI is going to make most jobs worth less than they already currently are. If you're a newspaper writer or whatever, AI is going to take that in the next 10 years. And you're going to, if you still have a job, it's going to be only managing the AI, which means you're going to be paid even less than you're currently paid. I think life is about to become exceptionally difficult for the people in the middle. I think the good times are over. I think it's going to go back to the feudal system of kings and serfs and peasants. And I think if you're a normal, average person now, you should feel deep fear and panic and understand that you have a certain amount of time to get into the higher bracket of the social class before these hard times come. And the most scary thing about these hard times is I feel like the gap is going to permanently close. But if you're the average person at home and you're watching AI continually take over the world and you're not at least learning how to implement it so you can benefit, you're toast. You're toast. Most people are going to be replaced so quickly. I don't think the average person at home realizes how replaceable they are. I'd argue now that 80% of the normies I talk to, ChatGPT would be far more interesting than them. They're that boring. The average person at home, if they were trying to get a girl, would be better off putting ChatGPT in the combo than themselves. That's how bad they are. And they're arrogant and they're narcissistic and they think, no, I'm special. Most of you are not special. You're not. And because you're not special, you're going to be replaced by machines. And once you're replaced by machines, you're going to become useless. And you're still going to have expectations. You're still going to want to eat and you're still going to want a wage. And you're still going to want a good house and a nice car. What are the elites going to do with the populace once they become completely useless and remain to be entitled? You're useless eaters. Useless eaters always end up decimated. In any period of human history, any civilization, if you had a large subsect of the populace that had no purpose, they got decimated. So if you're at home sitting there thinking, well, I can become useless and the government will just feed me, I'd argue they'll starve you to death instead because they don't need you around. And most people are going to be replaced very quickly by these machines. Sora, I said to my camera guys when I saw Sora, I was like, you're out of a job. You're fired. We started laughing about it. But it's true. And think of how fast technology advances. Where are we going to be in 20 years from now?
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
It's insane. You need to get ahead of these things.
In regards to AI, I think it has to be adopted. Inside of my school, Hustlers University, we teach AI with absolutely everything. A lot of the images we generate, even on my Twitter account, is all AI. And what's actually scary about the modern world is, I don't consider myself old, I'm 36, but some of the children, I call them children, 17, 18-year-olds inside of my school, Hustlers University, they're AI wizards, and they can do magic with this stuff. Magic. Like they can literally genuinely, Andrew Tate on the moon, and the image is generated in seconds. Like artists are going out of business. I thought AI would put truck drivers out of business. Artists are going out of business. Musicians are going out of business. It's kind of scary. I do like to think that with things like AI, there's always going to be some degree of natural separation between the men who are genuinely inventive and killers and the men who are more, let me change the way I say that. I think if you're an exceptional person, a truly exceptional person, you don't have to be afraid of nearly anything. But you'll probably agree with this. In my experience, in nearly every business in the world, you have 10% killers, and then you have a bunch who want the paycheck. They do their job, but I wouldn't say they're killers. You understand? Mm-hmm. And we live in a society for a long time where I can even tell you now, sometimes when I hire, I'll say to my cousin or to my COO, I'll say, look, either get one killer or 3 normal people. Because that's the reality. That's the basic. You either need 3 people to half do the job or you need 1 killer to do the job. And I think that those 3 people who half do their jobs, enough to not get fired, they turn up most of it on time, but they're not really that motivated. Those are the ones who have to fear AI. I think businesses in the medium term are going to become killers in AI. I tell them now, I have some guys who work for me on one particular company and their sales staff. I was reading through the sales scripts. The killers doing really well. But the average guys, I said, you're not doing much better than ChatGPT could do right now. I want to warn you that you're not doing much better than I could replace you with a machine today, let alone in 5 years from now, for free. You need to be careful. So I think it's just becoming more and more competitive. The idea that you can just be Joe Schmo, do your job, turn up, I don't try that hard, it's fine. I think that's all going to go out the window because as the world becomes more competitive, as a company, you have to compete with your competitors. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is just where do you cut the fat? Where do you cut the flat? When I see AI popping up and getting more and more intelligent in the way it's talking, that doesn't scare me. By the way, with words. If I was Joe Schmo, I'd be afraid. This ChatGPT can probably text your girl better than you can. He'll probably get laid faster than you. That's a little advice for the guys out there. Yeah, right now. Just plug it into your phone. It'll do better than you do. So that's scary, you know? That's hilarious. I think that's what the average man really needs to struggle. And I've been saying this has been my message for a very long time in all realms. I've said for a very long time that life for the average man is going to get harder and harder. It's becoming more and more competitive. You need to find more and more ways to stand out and be unique. And the only way to really do those things, unfortunately, as a man, is to suffer.
I think that if you're prepared to suffer and you're prepared to show that your brand or your personal brand stands up for something, and you have information which people then believe they need, you're going to be very successful in the world today. Yeah. I feel like a lot of the attention geopolitically is going to be moving towards the global south and the second and third world. And I think a lot of people understand there's always been more opportunity in the second and third world than in the first world, where a lot of things are wrapped up. I think the internet is giving a lot of access to these places that perhaps didn't exist before. Absolutely. I think artificial intelligence involved in these places is also going to be extremely important. I feel like selling information or being the barrier to information is a fantastic way to get wealthy in the world today. There's a lot of people who want things explained to them in a very concise, very quick, very compendious way. Right. And if you can take information which is perhaps freely available that takes an hour to explain and explain it in 30 seconds or less, you're going to find a way to monetize that. Right. Especially if you can draw attention to yourself and make it clear how much time you can save people. Right. Especially if you could use artificial intelligence to get that 30 seconds down to 25 seconds. Right. There's actually endless opportunity if you're prepared to work. I don't know how people in the first world aren't extremely concerned. You were being replaced by effectively foreign call centers for a while. That's something that's been going on for a while. And now we have artificial intelligence coming, and those people are so boring and uninteresting, and they have not suffered enough to be unique. Therefore, they're going to soon be replaced by a free chatbot. Right. It's a free chatbot that could already replace a large subsect of the population as we stand right now. Imagine we're going to be in 2 or 3 years from now. I think the average person in the Western world hasn't woken up and realized that everything's becoming more expensive and your currency's inflated and there's no chance that anyone's going to fix it for you, and they're out to replace you, people from the second and third world who will work harder than you for less money.
Do a great job.
And do a great job.
English, yeah.
Absolutely. And the robots are coming and they're going to replace you for even less than the second worlders want. And you're sitting there thinking you don't have to be exceptional and you don't have to learn to think outside the box. You don't have to suffer in any way to become a unique person, and you're just going to somehow, pay your bills? No, you're not. You're going to get destroyed. Destruction's coming for you, and then you're going to become a useless person because you're not going to have a job that you're prepared to do at the price that people are prepared to pay. And once you become a useless person, you have to sit and go further down the rabbit hole of history and see what's happened to all the people of Earth that were useless. What happened to all the people who had dreams and aspirations and expectations, and they were no good to those in power? Because I can tell you. Yeah, work that one out. You're going to see very quickly that you're not going to exist for very long. Bro, when I saw that Sora AI thing, this is to all the cameramen in the room, including my guy. I saw that Sora AI thing. I was like, bro, even camera guy's going to be gone soon. Hollywood's gone. Actors are gone. Yeah. Script writers are gone. Right. Everyone's going to lose their job. Everyone. You have to be sitting there. And I don't know if the average cameraman's sitting saying, they're going to replace me with this. Maybe not now. Maybe not in a year, but certainly in 2. They're going to be able to ask a robot for the thing I would take months to film, and the robot's going to spit it out instantly. So how do I, A, integrate this with my skills so that when they want to use the robot, instead of asking the robot directly, they ask me because they can get a better result via me? How do I use AI along with my camera skills so I can continue to retain my job? Or 2, how do I diversify? What can I do that this robot can't do currently, or I don't believe it will be able to do into the future? But the average camera guy doesn't give a shit. Oh, camera guy, Sora, yeah, that's cool. Do-do-do, off the cliff. Yeah. Oh, I didn't see it coming. How did this happen to me? Why am I unemployed? You're a useless eater now. Enjoy the concentration camp. That's what's going to happen. So you have to be paying attention and thinking worst case scenario. They're coming for absolutely everybody and everything. And a lot of these personal brands, unless they're built on the back of a whole ton of suffering, I think they're going to suffer also. I don't know how they're going to have a personal brand based on just talking motivational quotes. Yeah. I haven't even done this. Someone should go to ChatGPT and say something philosophical and motivational, which inspires me. And I guarantee you can start reading things and go, crap, that's pretty good. Yeah, oh no, that's pretty good. It'll be scary to read.
Yeah. It's an inevitable reality that people have to learn.
It's an inevitable reality, and I don't think most people are even considering that they're replaceable or going to be replaced.
And seeing it early enough to pivot and make it work. Absolutely.
It needs to cross your mind. Yeah. The one good thing about something like artificial intelligence is if you position yourself now, if you get in a position where you can use it before other people can, then people will hire you to use it for them. Work with the machines. You don't have to work against them. You can work with them. But firstly, you need to learn how to use it. And we will teach you inside of Hustles University, which you can access. But once again, most people are stupid, lazy, or arrogant. Artificial intelligence is not too hard to use. You can join our school and we'll teach you exactly how to use it. Only 5% of people will be too stupid to do it. The majority of people are too lazy to do it. They're too lazy to join my school. They'll sit here and listen to this whole podcast. And then I'll say, I have a school which will teach you how to use the machines to print you money. And they're still too lazy to go and learn. And they're going to wonder why they're broke forever. Or they're too arrogant. I don't need the AI. Oh yeah, it's probably something that'll exist and it won't affect me. Good luck, friend.
Yeah, I think AI, we've talked about the negative effects of AI. We know that it's bad for you. The reality of life is that once that technology is invented, you're never going to uninvent it.
Oh, of course.
Like, we know social media is bad for you, but you're never going to uninvent social media. It's here forever.
But it can be used for good and bad.
Exactly. And AI is here forever. And it's going to get worse and more advanced. It's going to take over parts of our lives. We know this. As much as you want to hate it and fight it, as much as I think it's going to be so much evil that comes from it, you have to almost understand it.
Well, I'll give you a very quick example. It can be used for good or bad. Social media can be negative if you sit there and digest bad information, but it's also one of the reasons we managed to get to such large subsets of the population. So it can be a good thing and a bad thing. Inside the real world, inside my online university, we push AI very heavily. And I was having a conversation with someone the other day who said, oh yeah, I don't use AI because I'm a club promoter. And I said, if you're in any business in the world today, it doesn't matter if you're a plumber, it doesn't matter if you're a club promoter, it doesn't matter what business you're in, you should be learning how to implement AI because there's going to be the people who use AI and the people who fail. Yes. Those are the only two options, which is why we teach it so heavily inside of my university. And I said to the club promoter, what do you do? He said, well, I get guys to book expensive tables at the club because I bring pretty girls to the table. I said, okay. Well, if you had an AI machine, let's say you use Sora to put together a video of the best club night ever, and let's say you use ChatGPT to speak to lots of girls and explain what's going to happen and why they're going to have a great time at the club, and also get ChatGPT to speak to rich men and explain to them what a great time they're going to have, and you could mass speak to people at a much larger rate than you can do by yourself sitting there typing, you're going to make more money. Yeah. You can implement AI in club promotion. You can get the most fancy video, and you can get a ChatGPT learning bot to realize exactly, this is actually a point I want to make, to realize exactly what trigger words get the girls to want to party and what trigger words get the guy to want to spend money. And you can put together some data and you can stop talking to people completely and you can focus on the AI learning mechanisms to do all the work for you, which is why we're teaching it inside of my university. There's not a job on earth where you shouldn't be using AI mechanisms to do it for you, because that's what they're doing to us already.
Yeah.
We live in this surveillance capitalism world where a lot of the tech companies, a lot of the largest companies in the world are making money purely based on prediction of our behavior. They build digital versions of us online. They build there's a digital Matt, there's a digital Andrew based on all of our spending habits, how long we spend on each website, which part of the website we click on first, which websites we visit, how long we spend on our email, which email topics make us reply. They're constantly gathering data on us and putting together digital versions of us so they can predict our behavior to make as much money from us as possible. And once they can do that, they then try and alter our behavior so that we become more profitable. And they do this on purpose so that we become a person who's worth $12.59 to be a person who's worth $14.03 by altering how we react to certain things. So they're already building algorithms and trying to adjust how our mind works. And if you have a company or you are interested in making money in the world today and you're not considering doing exactly that, you're going to permanently fail. And AI is going to make it harder and harder again for those average men. It's just going to be harder and harder. I don't think the exceptional men are ever going to suffer from AI. I think we're going to use AI.
Yeah, and I agree completely. I think a lot of people say, hey, I'm working 2 jobs and I feel like I need a way to make some extra income. Yes, I agree. You need more money. Everyone needs more money. If you want to learn something, if you're 15 or you're 55, it's not too late to get into AI.
100%.
And yes, is it evil? Yes, I think so. However, you're not going to uninvent it.
Yep.
You might as well learn it because this is a way where you can add some extra income to your life. And it's not overly difficult if you just spend a little time to figure it out.
And this is what's interesting because the current educational systems of Earth, none of them are teaching AI.
Yeah.
I mean, perhaps maybe you go to MIT and you learn about robotics or something, fine.
And at a very advanced level, which you don't need.
Absolutely. The average school isn't teaching you about AI. The average MBA you will do won't teach you about AI. I'm going to sit here and make it very clear and obvious. The only school on the planet I can find that will teach you about artificial intelligence is my one, the real world. It's $49. For $49, we'll teach you exactly how to use AI to make a whole bunch of money. Which goes back into a point I was saying earlier about certain people are just tied into the matrix and don't want to be freed. If we will sit here and have a long conversation about how artificial intelligence is going to replace most people, and if you don't implement it, you're going to become useless. Your entire bloodline is going to be exterminated because you don't serve any purpose to society. And I'm going to teach you how to use artificial intelligence for $49, and you're still not going to do it. Well, then I guess you just deserve eternal slavery for your bloodline. Some people are just born to lose, I assume. But it's extremely important we implement these things. So when I watched Sora, the conversations I've had, this was only 2 days ago. I was on the phone for 6 or 7 hours with my team inside the real world saying, okay, how can we use this? What can we do with this? And there's two different ways to look at it. There is, how can we use artificial intelligence now when no one else is really using it? How do we get ahead of the curve and continue to make millions of dollars? That's easy. The real question is, how do we use AI when everyone else is using it? Once it becomes mainstream and everyone else can do it, when everyone else can produce adverts at the drop of a hat, when everyone else can make their product look fantastic when it isn't, when everybody else can use ChatGPT to be extremely funny and charming and interesting, when there's neurolinks in their brain and everybody can talk like Andrew Tate. Because right now only Andrew Tate can talk like that. When I lose my ability to speak more concisely and compendiously than everybody else, how do I compete then? That's going to be the hard one. But right now we're in a transitional period where it's easy. Because if you join the real world or you pay attention or you learn these things, you're so ahead of everyone else. It's like the first person to turn up to the gold mine. And you can just dig and pick up all the gold. But there'll become a time where the gold mine's flooded. And that's where you really have to think ahead. So we had a long conversation about how to make a bunch of money now, and that was easy. But the real question is, how do we all make a bunch of money in 20 years when AI is standardized? That's what's going to be the interesting conversation.
I mean, the future is digital. Everything's going to be AI. Everything's going to be digital. We know this for sure. If you think it's not, you're got your head in the sand. It's happening no matter what.
100%.
You have to embrace AI. That's what I think.
Yep, 100%, because it allows you to work at mass at a much more effective rate, much more effectively. I mean, the amount of websites which, I mean, copywriting is a thing, right? And it still is a thing. But the amount of websites which could benefit from a complete copy change with ChatGPT would make their copy better than it currently is.
Yeah.
The amount of average electricians have a little terrible website somewhere in Texas, and you could literally ChatGPT their entire website, and you could charge them money for that. And they don't even realize that you use ChatGPT because they don't have a clue what it is because they're behind the times. And you could literally make money for 10 seconds. Now, if you could get an AI bot to reach out to them all, if you get an AI bot to speak to them all, you could produce them a movie using Sora, showing the coolest electrician on earth. Like, there's so much potential that can be done. It's so ridiculously easy to make money if you actually try. But implementing AI is something you need to do because it's the future. It's like ignoring gunpowder. If you ignore gunpowder, you'll lose the war. You could have looked at gunpowder at some point and said, we got bows and arrows, it'll be fine. No, it won't. As it advances, it's going to get to the point where they soon have Gatling guns and you're all toast. The world has become exceptionally easy for a lot of men. It used to be a different place. Most men were cannon fodder. Most of us would have ended up in wars dying for fucking no reason.
Damn.
Now we don't have to do that. So because we don't have to do that, men think it's okay to just become comfortable now. You're not supposed to be comfortable. You were never evolved to be comfortable. You're supposed to be uncomfortable.
Right.
And if you make yourself uncomfortable constructively, it's very easy to be anything you want. You talk about GTA, Grand Theft Auto. I know the game. I used to play the old one on the PlayStation 1 when I was a child.
Which one?
I haven't played any.
Which one? You talk about San Andreas?
Very first one.
Vice City, GTA 3? Yeah.
Oh, the very, 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 very first one, like 1994.
Okay.
Old school.
Okay.
But I've never played any of those games, but I find it amazing that people will sit there and spend all their time upgrading that character, making as much money as they can, getting the best guns, getting strong, getting some hoes, meeting important people, getting the best car. They'll do all that in a game, but they won't do it in real life. I find that incredible. Like my life is GTA. I don't need to play a game for GTA. If I want a gun, I'll fucking buy it. If I want a car, I'll fucking buy it. I want a bitch, I'll get her. It's me. I am GTA. I don't see why people play the games. They play the games because they're scared of loss. Because if you die in the game, you get another chance. If you lose in the game, you get another chance. In life, you get one shot.
Damn, that's...
But if you get some balls, That's what life is as a game. That's what life is as a man. This is one big video game. You get to upgrade your character. You're not born with any value. All these women that you just put me on with are born with value. They're pretty already. They're gorgeous already. They're good looking enough. Even if they're a 5, someone's going to give a shit they exist because someone wants to fuck them. As a man, if you don't make yourself valuable, you have no value. You have to get up and do it. Just like a video game. You start with fucking 0. You have to decide if you want to complete it. You have to upgrade your character. So I find it amazing that men are going to play video games and fuck about and waste their time instead of upgrading their character. Everyone knows what to do. You know what you have to do.
You're right.
If you had to become the most dangerous, intelligent, respectable man on the planet, you know you're supposed to go to the gym. You know you're supposed to train, learn how to fight. You know all these things. You don't do them. That's your decision. It's your prerogative. I didn't make that choice. I made the choice to do it all. I decided all of it. That every single man watching this can do the exact same thing. Which is why I have very little pity when I do these streams and people think I'm arrogant or I'm rude to people, or even to you earlier when I was making jokes and I've been joking with the girls,
You're
saying
good,
drink the
bro.
soy latte.
I'm not, yeah.
Of course, and I know we're only joking, right? But the point is that's a conscious decision you made. I would never make fun of someone who hasn't got a choice. I wouldn't make fun of someone born with one
I
arm.
have a choice though.
But if you've
right.
made a fucking decision to be less than you should be, then I believe you should be mocked for that decision.
I agree. I
didn't
feel
make
like, yeah, because like you're not living up to your full potential. Like it's your choice to basically not live up to your full potential.
Completely. And me as a man, when I put myself through hell, when I have had such exacting, such stringent standards for myself, why would I then have less exacting, stringent standards on the people I meet?
Damn.
Why would I put myself through hell to be me and then meet someone who didn't put themselves through hell and then treat them like my equal? No, fuck you. I suffered when you didn't. So you're not my equal because you decided not to suffer. You have enjoyed comfort when I haven't, and that's fine. But don't expect me to look at you as my equal because you're not. I'll snap your fucking neck.
Andrew,
that's the world.
Andrew, I have like a lot of friends around me. They're like good friends. Don't get me wrong. Like they're real friends, but like they're incredibly like lazy and they have so much potential. Like they could be big. They could be getting rich, all this shit, bro. But like they choose not to. So, but it's really hard because I love them. They're my friends and I came up with these guys and they're so entertaining. I love them. They're my brothers, but like.
I understand, but but there's something that's very always kind of confused me. When I tell people that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, everyone agrees. They go, yeah, that's probably true. The 5 people you spend the most time with, that's what you're going to end up like. They say, yeah, that's true. And then they continue to hang around with people who they don't want to be. Why? There has to be a point. There has to be a point where you sit and go, okay, you're my friends, et cetera, et cetera. I love you guys. Yeah, we can talk, whatever, but I'm on a different life path. You have to leave some people behind. You wouldn't want to be, if you were to come hang out with me and you were in a room with me and my 5 friends, you'd feel self-conscious.
You're right.
You don't feel with your friends.
Cause you only surround yourself around people that are on like your level of like.
I'm with killers. We're fucking monsters. If you were to come hang around with me and my crew, you would be self-conscious, and that self-consciousness would motivate you, or they would certainly instill the discipline required for you to change. You don't feel self-conscious amongst your peers. That's why you don't change. If you were to get in a room and you're the only person who ain't a fucking monster, you'd want to become a monster. That's life. That's humanity. So I say this to people all the time. If you know you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around with, why you hang around with people you don't want to be?
Nah, it's true, bro. I'm gonna tell you why, right? I was, do you know who I Show Speed is?
No.
He's this other creator that's like obviously like in my space. I was staying with him in September and like I would literally like be on my shit like every day, like grinding, like at what I'm grinding, right? And like when he left, I had like no one around me to basically like kind of like on my, or like, so it shows.
I get it.
Yeah.
And that's why I live in a competitive environment. I live with my brother, my cousin. I live with men. We have a big house. We could all afford fucking 10 houses each. We live together on purpose. If my brother does 500 push-ups, I ain't going to be the bitch at the house. I ain't going to not do them.
Right.
So that's another reason the war room exists. My organization, the reason it's so competitive is the reason we kick people out. You have to fight to keep.
Even if they pay, you're like, I don't give a fuck. Get out. Like,
I don't give a fuck. Get out. I'm out. It doesn't matter. Everyone pays to join. You get kicked out anyway. You have to fight to keep your place. That's the whole.
Damn.
That's because that's how life was. If we were still in the animal kingdom, the lions that you see on TV, they weren't just born big lions. They had to fight other lions. They had to fight to get that antelope. They had to fight other animals, hyenas, jackals. They had to fight to be the boss. We're living in a comfortable world now where people think, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But you know what? To some degree, it does matter. It does matter. And I'll tell you who it matters to. It matters to your soul and it matters to God. I stand in the mirror with a pure heart. I know I am the best version of me that could possibly ever exist. I know that God is proud of me. There's nothing that God hates more than sloth and laziness. If God were to create a man and that man were to sit around and do fuck all, God will frown upon you. It's why you're never lucky. If you're listening to this and you think I'm never lucky, I'll tell you why, because God dislikes you because you're fucking lazy. Start to work. Start to show God the beauty of his own creations. You'd be amazed how lucky you'll become.
Wow.
God is unhappy with these people. And inside their hearts, they're unhappy. We talk about depression, anxiety, all those things you mentioned earlier on this podcast. That comes from self-loathing. You loathe your own weakness. You loathe your own laziness. This is what all of these things are. I don't feel depression. How can I feel depression when I'm the most powerful version of me that I could ever fucking be? How can I feel depression when I could squeeze my own hand hard enough to break my own bones? How can I feel depression when I've smashed and destroyed 68 people's faces in front of me, men who thought they could test me in fair combat? How can I feel depressed? It's impossible. Do you understand?
Bro, you got like the best fucking mentality, like brain, like ethic I've ever seen in my fucking life. What the fuck? Everything you're saying is just like that you've said. It's literally facts. I agree with like 100% of everything. So why do we, okay, here's another question. Do you notice that like human beings, naturally, we don't care about things until it's gone. Like we don't appreciate what we have until it's gone. You know what I'm trying to say? Like appreciation. Like, correct. Why is that? Why do you think that? And do you feel that way? Like, are you very grateful? Are you appreciate what you have? Like, you know, how to speak on that?
Yeah, that's a mental trick. You have to rewire your brain. That's one of the things you have to rewire your brain to do. And the reason your brain needs to be rewired is because anyone who is watching this stream below the age of 30, your brain is already broken. And I'll tell you it's broken. I'll tell you why. Watch your friends when they're on TikTok. How long can they even focus on a video before they have to change? Half a second, a second,
Damn.
Maybe. All of your minds are broken. You can't even focus on anything anymore.
You're right.
You are constantly distracted to the point where you can't even appreciate the good things in your life. You're distracted. Your minds are broken. You need to rewire your mind and resist the slave programming.
How?
They have I'll tell you how. First thing you have to do is identify it. You have to identify what is happening to you. I use my mind to break the trap. What I do is I allow my enemy to manipulate me on purpose. And then I use my mind to break the trap and punish the perpetrators. I will sit on TikTok for a day and I'll just enjoy TikTok. And by the end of the day, I'll watch myself. How quickly I'm looking to be entertained, how little time I give a video, how fucked up I am. And then I'll blink and I'll cure my fucking brain. You must allow yourself to be manipulated and you must fix it. All of it. You just talked about not appreciating the things you have. Then blink and cure your brain. It's a conscious decision. You're letting other people control your mind.
All distraction.
The Matrix is trying to control your mind. They're very good at it. That's what they do to control all of us. You have to break the trap. If you cannot control your own mind, let me make this point because it's extremely important. If you cannot control your own mind, then you are just a feather in the wind of life because your own mind is the only thing you can control. You can't control the weather. Right. You can't control other people. You can't even control whether your heart stops beating. You might have a heart attack tomorrow. You can't control anything besides what you think. If you cannot control your own mind, then you go through life with zero control, zero influence. You can't control anything. You're just a feather in the wind, waiting for life to blow you from happy place to sad place to happy place to sad place, completely hoping on the gods to be fortunate to you because if any genuine discomfort comes your way, you're fucked. It is trained like everything else in life. It is trained. So if you find yourself not appreciating what you have until it's gone, then you must blink and cure your brain. If you find yourself unable to focus or concentrate on tasks, you must blink and cure your brain. If you find yourself unable to go and dedicate yourself to something you don't want to do, you must blink and cure your brain because all of our minds have been under constant assault for years. The way the mind functions, the way people interact has changed so significantly in the last 10 years you wouldn't believe. If you go to a party today as opposed to a party 10 years ago, they look completely different. People are acting differently. People are on their phones now than ever used to be. Even now, people will go to places only to get an Instagram picture, even if they don't enjoy the place.
Wow.
It's all about pretending they're having fun as opposed to actually having fun. The entire paradigm of society and how we interact has now changed.
With great power comes great responsibility. My content existed because I tried my very hardest to be an absolute and utter realist, especially with uncomfortable truths. I was pointing out that very uncomfortable.
Is that a truth? Then?
It's an uncomfortable truth in many parts of the world. It's not a truth that I'm happy about. I don't want to be seen as a negative influence in the world. I know that there's a whole bunch of men. I get thousands of emails a week from men whose lives I've saved. I get thousands of emails a week from men who are on the verge of suicide and I've saved their lives. I believe in protecting and providing. I've been misunderstood. I don't want anybody to be offended by anything I say. I want to be a positive force in the world. I don't want anybody to hear what I say and make them feel bad about themselves. I want all people to live righteous and good, whether they're male or female. I think righteous is living true to your heart and knowing that you're doing good by people, not snaking anybody, not lying to anybody. I know I live a very righteous life. The government is not capable of helping the poor. And this is why it's so important as a person, you take personal responsibility and understand you're living in a world where the matrix can be cracked. You can make a bunch of money, but you need to take responsibility and do it. I refuse to accept that there are people out there who cannot become happy, contented individuals. I refuse to accept we live in a world where God has created people who, no matter how hard they work and how good their life becomes, can't be happy. I don't accept that. I accept that the universe is a very giving place and that God loves all of us. And if you try your best and you work hard, you can become a better person.
I'm telling the younger generation that if they don't get up and work hard and make sure that they're important, that the world's not going to give a shit about them. 99% of my content was aimed at men, telling them the truth, saying that as a man, you're born with no inherent value. You have to become important. You have to go through some pain or go through some suffering to make people care about you. Otherwise, you're not going to matter. As a dude, if you walk into the party and you've put no effort into your life, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares about you. And every man out here knows. And one of the great things about the masculine journey and masculinity is that we've all lived a semi-similar story. It's kind of cool. Like, we've all been the teenager, gets heartbroken. We've all been unimportant. We've all like worked hard and then started to get some clout. And then we've all kind of lived the same kind of journey. So I say to everybody out there, yeah, if you don't follow that path and follow that journey and in one way or another get to the top, whether it's fighting, whether it's comedy, whether it's musician, whatever it is, if you're just going to stay somewhere near the bottom and then at the age of 44, email me saying I'm depressed. Well, of course you're depressed. You're a loser. Yeah. But that was your choice because you have to build yourself as a man. And if you decide not to build yourself, then your life's going to suck.
My main message is to resist the slave mind, to understand that every single thing you're being told has an agenda behind it or you wouldn't be told it otherwise, to examine every strongly held belief you have and try and identify where it comes from and why you have it. I sit and argue with people, I discuss things with people, and they so fervently believe a point. And I say, why do you believe that so much? Like, do you have personal experience? No, but I saw the news. The news told you X, and now you are desperate. You will sit here for hours arguing that point. A lot of people are completely empty vessels ready to be programmed. And I try and tell people, listen, to just stop for a second and understand that the things they're telling you to believe are not necessarily for your benefit. The people who make the rules don't make the rules for the benefit of everybody. They make the rules to the benefit of the people who make the rules of the game. So, telling people to resist a slave mind and just be critical thinkers, keep their brain open, pay attention to things, be perspicacious. That's the general theme. And it doesn't matter whether you're left, right, liberal, man, woman, etc. It's just think for yourself. That's the general message. I believe men and women are a beautiful union. I think we're slightly different, but when we work together, we're the most powerful force in the world. And I certainly believe that men and women, when they work together, it's the most beautiful force on the planet. So of course I believe in men and women. Of course I believe in love. Of course I believe in marriage. Of course I believe in family. Okay. I believe in marriage in the traditional sense. I believe a man has a duty to stand up and be a real man. I believe that the problem with the world today that we are facing is that not enough men are sticking to the age-old ways of masculinity. I believe that me standing up and saying a man must protect a woman and provide for her, so he needs to make sure that she's safe. He needs a degree of authority. I believe women are sovereign individuals and they can make any choice they so desire. I think that it's important that we remember that a man has a duty. I think I certainly in my relationship have a financial responsibility to provide for my woman. My woman would never have to work unless she wanted to because I'm the kind of person who works hard enough. And I'll make another point that needs to be said. The number of women who have stood up and stuck up for me is ignored. Thousands of women are making videos saying, I've met Andrew Tate. He's such a nice guy. I wish I had a man like Andrew Tate who felt responsible to protect and provide for me. You know what? I do belong to my husband. And that's why I married him and I love him. We ignore the thousands of women who stood up and stood by me and said everything I said is true. This is that there's a large contingent of men who still want to make money, go to the gym, be strong, drive a fast car, be traditionally masculine, and don't want to be shamed for that. I believe that feeling depressed is real. I don't believe depression as a clinical disease is real now. I think PTSD is very real. Unfortunately, I have some friends who suffer from that. I know that feeling depressed is real. I believe that the number one power you have against these things are trying to take control of your own mind and affecting your own life. I believe that it's not healthy to hand over all your power and believe that depression is an outside disease that you can't affect. I know that when I've had difficult periods in my life, and also many of my friends, like I've said, suffer from PTSD and been through terrible things. I've lived a very difficult life, and I know people who have, that the things that made them feel better is when they woke up and said, you know what, I'm not going to allow this to damage me anymore. I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to get up and I'm going to fight this as hard as I can. If someone comes to me and says I'm clinically depressed or I feel very, very sad, I would say the first thing you need to do is stop accepting the identity of a clinically depressed person. Stop accepting you have no control over this. And what you need to do is stop identifying that way, and let's work together to try and fight against it. A lot of people who are clinically depressed are suffering with something in their life. And if you fix the problem in their life, perhaps they won't feel depressed anymore. The thousands of people who have emailed me saying, my doctor told me I was clinically depressed and it's a disease that I have got in my brain and I can't be fixed. And I started listening to you and I realized that that's not the case and I can fix my own life. And you're the only person who has ever helped me. I believe feeling depressed is real. I do not believe it's a disease that you catch from the sky and you cannot affect. I believe that no matter what happens, I believe you have control of your own mind and you can fight against it. I believe if you change your circumstances in your life, you may feel different. I'll give you a quick example. I had a guy who emailed me saying he was clinically depressed and he was going to kill himself. I obviously am not a psychiatrist. I'm not a doctor. I told him, because I replied to my emails. I said, have you been to a psychiatrist? He said, yes, I'm clinically depressed. I've been on these pills, this amount of time. I'm on antidepressants. It doesn't work. I said, I don't know what to say to you besides this. And he said he lost his girlfriend. That's why he became clinically depressed. I said, listen, go to the gym. Get a six-pack first. Once you've got a six-pack, email me again. If you still feel like killing yourself, I don't know what else to say to you. But I'd say, strong body is a strong mind. Go train. He went, he started sending me progress pictures, emailing me him getting in better shape, and eventually got a six-pack. He's now a professional bodybuilder. And he said, I can't believe I was considering that. I feel so much better, etc. The doctor was telling him he was clinically depressed and couldn't cure it. He started taking control of his own life, and now he felt better. That if somebody has depression of any kind, whether it's clinical, whether it exists or not, whether they feel depressed or not, whatever, that taking control of their life, taking personal responsibility, and working hard is always going to be the positive, best thing they can possibly do for their life going forward.
How positive is it?
Them. Of course, money can't buy happiness. I agree. But money is the third most important thing in the world. First is your health, because you have nothing if you're going to die. Second is your relationships, because you need love and family. That matters the most. But money can buy everything else. So money's the third most important thing. The average people come to me and say, what do I do? I'm just the average guy. And my only answer is stop being the average guy. That's my only answer. You can't just be the average guy anymore. The idea from the 1950s that you can just be the normal, average, law-abiding, hard-working citizen and you'll have a good life is gone. Any man out here who goes, I'm just going to work hard, do my bit, and obey the laws, and I'll have a good life. No, you won't. No, you will not. Just doing your job is never going to make you rich because you're just going to be taxed into infinity and you're going to stay broke. So just obeying laws and doing your job now has set you up to be a peon and a slave for eternity. You have to get yourself in a position where you're making enough money. You don't know what to talk about, then you don't understand money. So go learn how money works. Go learn how a bank works. Go sit on YouTube for free. You don't have to pay 50 grand in 4 years like a university. Go sit on YouTube and understand money, banking, or the real estate market, any of it. Understand the last housing price crash, why it happened. Understand mortgage rates and how that's affected by interest rates. Understand it, and then go sit with someone else who understands it and talk about it. People should, even if they haven't got a penny in the world, should be going to these meetings about real estate, about investing, that especially if it's cheap, they should go. Just meet other people who at least have money. Have conversations about money. Talk about it. How are you going to get what you don't talk about? And yes, the cycle of precipitation, right? So a cloud comes, it rains, it falls down to the ground, it goes under the ground, whatever, goes into a stream, it moves into the stream, goes to the ocean, evaporates again up into a cloud, floats somewhere else, falls down again. It's always moving. That's how money is. People think that money is in these large stagnant pools hidden in people's bank accounts. That's not really true. Money is constantly moving all the time. And if you can find a way to get in between it and stand in the right place at the right time, you're going to get wet. I think that's the new modern way to view the world. It's an attention economy. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're getting attention, you'll make money from it. One habit that people need to adopt, and this is a habit I had for a very long time, and I've actually recently cleared it from my brain because I've reached a point where peace of mind is worth more than money. But every single time money is spent, you need to identify how your money was taken from you. And I say taken because money can't be made. Money is taken. because the only people who can make money are the government. So if you're a government, you can make money. You can print it from thin air, or a bank. But if you're a person, you're not making money. You're convincing other people to give it to you. You're taking money from others. So every single time you spend money on anything, you need to identify how it was taken from you. When you go and buy a coffee, don't just go buy the coffee and sit down. Sit and say, why did I buy this coffee? Okay, I really wanted coffee. Yeah. But then why did I go into this store and not that store? Is it better advertising? Does it have less of a line? Do they have seating? How did they convince me to come in here? How much did this coffee cost? £6. What's the profit margin on that? Probably £5.50, £5.80 probably by the time the cup probably costs more than the coffee. The coffee is just water. How did they convince me to spend £6 in this place? And when you sit there and analyze and you all start to learn little lessons about business, you'll learn about the importance of the signage. You'll learn about the importance of there being no queue.
Yeah. So
that if you ever run a business, I say with my business, my people all the time, faster. All the time, quicker.
Yeah.
Like I have a couple businesses that are physical. I'm like, I don't want to see a line. I don't want it to see empty because it looks bad. So when there's lines, you work fast. When we're down to 1 or 2 people, you take your time, you talk to the customer.
Right.
You keep it so there's like always one person at the thing. Like manage the line. Like people don't think about this stuff. No one's going to sit and wait in a long queue. Maybe some idiots will, but people like me won't. We got shit to do, right? My time's worth money. I'm not going to stand and wait in a line. So you have to identify how your money is taken from you. If you start doing that with every single time you spend anything ever, you're going to start to identify business opportunities, and you're going to sit there and you're going to have coffee and you're going to go, you know what? They could have sold cake and they didn't. Could I outcompete this place? Let's imagine I had the money to start a coffee shop right next door. How would I outcompete them? Well, I'd have cake because they don't have cake. Also, most people in here are businessmen. And the guy serving some dude. No, we need a cute waitress. His ass is fired. We need a chick. Put a chick here, put some cake in. Financial Times, business people in. People don't even think about this stuff. They don't use their brain ever. They don't ever look around and realize how they're spending their money. They don't look around and look at which businesses are successful. They don't look around and pay attention to anything. They don't look at the world and all the things that are happening and how it can benefit them. None of it. They don't look at any of it. They're too busy following the circus. That's why it's clown world. I was walking to college with a couple of my friends, and a Ferrari drove past. And I said, bro, you see that? And he goes, yeah, what about it? I said, doesn't that piss you off? I must be about 16. He goes, why? So this dude has 400 G's for a car, 400 grand. I'm walking 4 miles to college because my mom hasn't got any car. He has 400 grand. Do you think he works a job? Do you think he's behind a counter somewhere? He knows something about the world that I don't know. And they were like, well, he's rich. I'm like, yeah, I know. I didn't say he wasn't rich, dummy. I'm saying he knows something about the world I don't know. And I was intrigued and it angered me. I couldn't sleep for weeks. I was pissed off. Every time I saw somebody with genuine money, I understood that everything I was being told and taught and they were trying to make me believe just simply wasn't true. I was like, none of these people are getting these things by following the path that the system is trying to make me follow. And everybody intrinsically knows this. If you go to if you're at a BP, you're at a petrol station, and I pull up in my Lamborghini, nobody goes, wow, he went to school. Yeah. He studied hard. And they do that because they know that the easiest way to amass wealth is to break the rules, because the rules are not designed to allow most people to make money. You can make money within the rules. Of course you can. But most people don't. Most people who follow the path work, consume, die. That's it. So I always knew the same thing as you, and I knew there had to be another way. I knew that just working for money was a paradigm that wasn't true. And then you understand making your money work for you, and you understand delinking your time from money. Yeah. You start learning to understand these things, but eventually you build a system and you build an ecosystem like me. I have 60 or 70 people work for me all around the world, and things just happen and money just kind of appears as long as everything's well organized. I mean, in my experience, like imagine if I didn't have all this money and I had to go get a job again, I'd get a sales job because I've always been a salesman. And, I think that's a very important life skill to have, to be good at sales and to deal with the stress and have a commission only environment. But I don't know if they even teach sales in university. Yeah, it's all garbage. They don't teach anything important. They just teach anything. They teach things that are going to keep you inside the slave mind. And they want you to go to school and then go to college and then go to university and get in debt. And you have to be in debt so that now you have to work. And you're working and you're in debt, and then they want you to take on more debt if possible in the form of a mortgage, which a lot of people do, which we can talk about because I know you're the property guy. Yep. And then you're in debt now, and once you're in debt, you can't really quit your job, and it's very difficult for you to leave the country. And now they can hold things over you. That's the goal. It's all about control mechanisms, and the system is very well designed to make sure that people are conditioned to obey. It's very hard for the average person to say no to anything. Unless you have millions and millions and millions of dollars, it's very difficult to even have an opinion on subjects.
That's the thing about being a man. And that's what I was saying to the kids. It's like, look, you need to get up and it's going to be very, very difficult. The world's getting harder and harder, especially for men. It's all clout. It's all status. There's no way you're going to matter unless you get up and you work extremely hard.
Should young men aspire to work very hard, have no criminal record, become multimillionaires, protect and provide for the women close to them, be sovereign so they can stand up and have their own points of view in face of cancellation, be able to not be mentally intimidated when they go on national TV and there's traps set up for them? Yeah, I believe that confident, strong men who stand up and protect and provide for women are a good thing for the world and a good force for the world. And I don't think that I put a magic spell on anybody. I think there's a whole bunch of men in the world who understands my value. And if men grow up to be like me, you're going to have a whole bunch of people with no criminal record, dedicated athletes who protect and provide for the people close to them,